In my last video, I presented to us the comprehensive overview of the summary of the nature of man after his fall. That is, after man decided to rebel against his creator and disobeyed him, the state of man, as Apostle Paul presented it in the book of Romans chapter number 1, verses number 17 to 31. That was the content of my last video, but now I want to progress by drawing our attention to one of the key points in that whole narrative. If we look at verse number 21 again of Romans chapter number 1 and verse number 21, taking it from the Message Bible, it said, what happened was this: people knew God perfectly well, but when they didn't treat him like God, refusing to worship him, they trivialized themselves into silliness and confusion, so that there was neither sense nor direction left in their lives. Also in verse number 22 from Message Bible, it says, they pretended to know it all, but were illiterate regarding life. In verse number 23, another important point was mentioned here in Message Bible. It said, they traded the glory of God, who holds the whole world in his hands, for cheap figurines you can buy at any roadside. Permit me to repeat that verse number 23 for clarity purposes. It says, they traded the glory of God, who holds the whole world in his hands, for cheap figurines you can buy at any roadside. But what was the consequences of that their choice? Verse number 24, so God said in effect, if that's what you want, that's what you get. It wasn't long before they were living in a pig pen, smeared with filth inside and out. This is just the summary of the state of man after the fall. And all these things originated from the heart of man. That is to say, the heart of man become very dirty. The heart of man become highly deceitful. That is what we have been emphasizing in the book of Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse number 9 and 10, which tells us that the heart of man is highly deceitful. It is this state of mind, a decayed mind, a mind that has the knowledge of God, but the actions that originates from the heart, which is the incubating region of every thought. The problem of mankind today is that where thoughts are being incubated, which is the mind of man, is corrupt and deceitful. The end product is that what man imagines, what man thinks, is nothing but evil. That is why Apostle Paul went further in naming those evil one after the other. Can you join me as we repeat that verse number 27 and 26, 27 and 28 of that same Romans chapter number 1, verse number 26. It says, worse followed, refusing to know God. They soon didn't know how to be human. Either women didn't know how to be women, men didn't know how to be men. Sexually confused, they abused and defied one another. Women with women, men with men, all lost, no love, and they paid for it. Oh, how they paid for it! Emptied of God and love, godless and loveless wretches. Then look at verse number 29 and 30 and 31, which says, and then all hell broke loose. Rampant evil, grabbing and grasping, vicious backstabbing. They made life hell on earth with their envy, wanton killing, bickering, and cheating. Looking at them, mean-spirited, venomous, fork-tongued God bashers, bullies, swaggerers, insufferable windbags. They keep inventing new ways of wrecking lives. They ditch their parents when they get in the way without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable and unmerciful. This is the content of the character that is coming out from man after the fall of man. You discover that this type of nature, this type of attitude is not in the nature of God. Still, God created man in his own image, desire that he be like him, because there is no evil in God and there is no negative tendencies or characters in God. But you see man who was created in the image of God possessing all these evil characters. I want to assure you that I am going to break down all these evil characters piece by piece so that we understand them and also see how it is obtainable in our society today. And what is the summary of our point? The summary of our point is this: man failed, became like Lucifer and not like God. But God wants man back. That is why God drew a plan. And that plan is plan of restoration, or what we call redemption of man back to himself. That particular process lasted for thousands of years. And finally, it culminated in God becoming man. And that is the incarnation we are talking about. But we are going to see many other things that transpired that created a high need for the incarnation to take place. All important question, as we have been saying, is why the incarnation? Why must God become man in order to bring man back to himself? I remember Pastor Elisha, the rising voice in Africa, and the reformer with a difference. Thank you for watching.